Welcome back to the Relentless Runners podcast. I'm Christine,
And I'm Toni.
and we are your co hosts and we are your co founders of Relentless Runners, which is an online run coaching business where we coach athletes one on one of all abilities to run a variety of distances.
And today we are going to do the episode we were supposed to have last week, which is some track 101. So we know that sometimes the track can be intimidating, especially if it's something that you're not familiar with. And even if you just haven't done it in a really long time, I think that it's like such an intricate thing. And there's like rules and etiquette and guidelines you may not even be aware of and everything. So we're excited just to share some common tips and practices that we do and advice that we give our athletes when we program track workouts for them, and also hit on some common questions that people are unsure about. And again, there's things that I didn't even know when I first got into running when it came to the track. So excited to talk about that. But first, we're going to get into our Corral Chronicles. So Christine, how about you kick us off on how the last week has been going for you?
Okay, good. It's been good. I feel like much better than last week's Chronicles of just.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I was in such a funk, how I was saying, just like in a funk with my long runs and everything. I finally got out there this weekend to do it. And I was really proud of myself because the reason why I've been in a funk is because I'm just over the winter. Like I'm just being a pansy about it. I'm over the cold and the snow. And being in Western New York, we get hit with it, more so the cold than anything. And I've just been over it. So I told myself going into the weekend, this past weekend, that I needed to get out of my funk and I just need to suck it up and just do what I need to do. And of course, don't we get hit with like a snowstorm and the temps were back in the teens. And I'm like, what the heck? So
no.
I know. I was like, are you kidding me? So I like kind of shifted my run around. I ended up doing it on Sunday, but I did it and it felt great. Like it felt really good. Even though it was super cold, it was like, I don't know, in the teens when I ran it, but it was fine. So I got it done. And I am back on track to like be running 30-mile weeks. I've got my workouts back. I had a good workout this morning. It was like 4-minute intervals and 2-minute intervals. It felt good. Like I still don't feel as good and like as strong as I did going into Houston, just, coming back post half and like going through the whole hamstring injury thing.
Sure.
And I've started kind of getting back into workouts. I think this is like my third workout back or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, I keep telling myself, like, I know once I continue to get into the groove of this, like it's all going to kind of come back rather quickly. Like I know that.
Yeah.
It's more just like that when you're out there.
Happening?
Like, why does this feel so hard? I just ran 13 miles faster than this. Like, what?
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's
that can
so,
suck.
yeah, for sure. No, but that's
okay.
good.
So
I'm glad it's feeling good.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So it kind of got like running's been feeling good. Like today was the 4th day running in a row. And I was texting you this earlier, but I wasn't really sure how my knee would hold up with 4 days of running or my hamstring in a row because I hadn't really done that yet. And so I did my long run. Well, it was 8 miles, my 8 miles on Sunday, 4 miles Monday, 5 miles Tuesday, and then 7 miles this morning. So it's like 23 miles, like all in 4 days. And so I was like kind of nervous that by the end of this morning's run, like maybe it would start hurting or just being fatigued or something. Nope, totally fine, solid. So I was like, okay, that's like super awesome. I just feel like I'm just like, open road ahead of me now. So
absolutely.
I'm
it's
so
those like
excited.
little measures of progress that it's like, well, I think back to when you were doing easy runs, your initial like easy runs back with your hamstring. And when you and I would be texting back and forth about it, you were like excited, like, oh my gosh, I noticed like halfway through a 4-mile run, like that's when I started to notice like my hamstring a little bit, but then it was still fine. Like you were able to do all the miles, but like that threshold just continued to grow and grow and grow and get better where you weren't feeling anything. So the fact that you're at a place of being able to do 4 days of running in a row is, I think, like really huge. So that's exciting.
With quality work too.
With
and it's
quality
like,
work. Yeah.
the rehab happened. Like I was really proud of how quickly the rehab happened with, I think it was about 5 weeks total. When I started with my hamstring, I would feel pain within 7 minutes of the run.
Yeah.
And then by like it took 5 weeks to completely heal that. And I know I talked about this before, but with like the red light therapy, I completely stand behind. And then obviously all the hamstring strengthening work that we did. But so anyways, I emailed Carly, my coach, last night, and Okay, so let me back up. Last week we were talking about, I think it was last week, we were talking about potentially running Houston and how I was still like floating, right? And I hadn't landed on anything yet. And just like having those doubts of just running a full marathon again. Oh, it's been 9 years, by the way, not 10. I went back and did the
Okay.
math in my head. It'll be
Okay.
9 years this year. So
That's fine.
which I kind of was hoping it was 10. I was like, wow, like what a cool like
A
10 years, but no, it's 9.
decade. Yeah.
I haven't done it in a decade. No, it's been 9 years. So anyways, I got this message on Instagram. If you're listening, love you. Don't know who you are, but thank you for the encouragement. But she messaged me and she's like, I was listening to your podcast and I just wanted to send you words of encouragement that you could definitely run a marathon. I don't know what she said exactly, but like it was just like words of encouragement,
Pumping
like
your
encouraging,
tires.
pumping me up. Yeah, just like look at you're strong. I think the word beast was thrown in there of like
Aw.
just like encouraging me to go for it and do the marathon.
Yeah.
And so that was very nice. So thank you to who you are. And so I was talking to Bobby. He was like telling guys at the gym that I'm running a marathon. I was like, whoa. Wait a second. He's like already announcing it to people.
Aw.
And so anyways, I emailed Carly last night and I was like, all right, Houston, 25. I'm going for the BQ. And I was like, all these things. And I was like, oh, and by the way, I turned 35 this year. So I get bumped up in the bracket. So I have to run a sub 335 to get my
up,
BQ.
baby.
I was like, I'm kind of happy about that. So
Yeah.
I was all pumped up and I was like, I know it's 10 months away, which I know will come very quickly.
It's going to happen quickly. Yeah, it's going to pop up quickly.
Yeah. So I said, aside from grandma's, like, and I'm excited to talk about you in a second about grandma's because of what I saw on Instagram this morning. But
hidden my friends, only my friends.
Oh, it
stories.
was? Oh, we don't have to talk about it then.
No, we can talk about it. I was
okay.
actually, yeah.
I didn't realize it was just shared to your friends
Yeah.
on Instagram. Okay, cool. But because it kind of like pumped me up when I saw that, and I was like, oh, well, I need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, let's talk about you.
Okay. Well, last week was a down week, and I think we talked about that on Tuesday, like when we recorded last week, that I needed to take a down week because my knee was just a little achy after my 9-miler that I had. Not bad, but I could just feel like I had been building for the last like several weeks, and my body just needed it, and it was great. Like my runs Monday, yesterday, today were all good, and I had a 7-mile workout yesterday. I had a 6.5-mile recovery run today, and everything felt great, like knee-wise. So yeah, it's just a reminder to everyone, if your body is just feeling off for whatever reason, whether you feel something or you just feel like you need the extra recovery, to not be afraid to take it. And I have had Christine keep me accountable to this because I struggle with that, if I'm being totally honest. And again, when we talk about removing our coach hat, that's the one part of being an athlete that I have a hard time with, is wanting to power through, because I just get so excited about my training and I want to try to, like, I get excited for the workouts, and I think when I see myself progressing, it's hard to take that step back. Even though I know it's just a small step back, I have a hard time voicing that to my coach. So a focus that I actually have for this year is just being really vocal with my coach and being honest with her on how I'm feeling, and if I need extra recovery, or if I feel like we need to change gears or pivot with like mileage plans, just being unapologetically transparent with her. So that's where I've like shared that a little bit with you, Christine, but that's to help keep me accountable with that. So I was proud of myself for doing that. Of like, I think I need a down week, because then I had like the last few days that I've had where I feel really good and confident about continuing to build up. But my workout yesterday was the workout that gave me so much confidence, and I was really excited. Yeah. And my last day, so Saturday, women, you'll be able to understand this. Men, I'm sorry if you're listening, but I went off birth control like 5 months ago, and I used to get like terrible cramps, like debilitating, where I'm popping like 2,500 milligrams of Tylenol, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not saying to do that, but to just like, I'm like doubled over in pain, can't do anything for 4 hours, sleep, and then I'm like okay and good to go. And like whenever I was in college, like I would have to leave like class and go home. When I was working corporate, like I would have to like leave and go home because I just couldn't even stand, and it was like terrible. So everything has been fine, but like Saturday or Sunday was the day that I like haven't had cramps like that in years. So it was pretty out. And then my run Monday, like minus just like leftover of just feeling really like fatigued, and my sleep was off and all that stuff. It was kind of funky on Monday, but I was happy about my day yesterday. But it's just annoying when it affects like training and life and everything. But my workout yesterday was like 2 by 8 minutes, and then a 4 minute like rep at the end. And I just like, again, it's just been really cool to see things kind of come back like you were talking about. Like it takes like some time to get there, like a few workouts. But it was funny because when I was unsure what I wanted out of the spring, and I was talking to my coach on the phone a few months ago about it. She was like, wait until the end of March. And then, at that point, you'll have strung together a few workouts. And I think you'll have a little bit more of an idea of like what you want to do. And I was like, yeah. And here we are. And I like made my decision on what I wanted to do, which I still like, I want to work on getting faster and all that stuff. But after yesterday, I got really excited about racing grandmas. So I just like, I just got really pumped about it. So I just left a comment on my run on VDOT and then just told her how like the efforts felt and all of that. And I was like, this is making me want to race grandma. So I'm just letting you know. And she's like, oh my God, love this. And then since then she put notes on my VDOT, and she thinks that I can like PR by a little bit. So I was like, okay, cool. So that's just like fun. But I'm excited to shift. Like we're almost 12. Are we 12 weeks out this weekend? Or like around there, 11
down.
weeks out. Take a look. But
that kind of scares me.
I can't remember.
Is it really?
But either way, I even said to her in my comment, like, I don't care. I didn't even think that was like necessarily in the cards. But yeah, I just said to her, like, I don't really, oh, cool. I don't care where my fitness is at. Like, I just want to race. And we talked about that last week too, even for you, where it's like, just race, and where my fitness is at, like, that's where it's at. So I don't necessarily care about what I'd be going for at the time. I just want to like be competitive on race day. So knowing that's like a shift. And it's nice because I still have the Pittsburgh 5K in May, so I get the opportunity to still like race a 5K. But with that happening, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see about Houston. I'm leaning towards Houston still for the half and stuff, but but I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for you for the marathon, and I'm excited for grandmas.
I'm excited for all of it. We just got a lot of fun stuff happening this year and even into next year. So when I saw your story this morning, I think it was about like your coach just saying like going for it, like PR and grandmas. I want to race grandmas because I know we've talked about just not really knowing what you wanted to get out of it. And how I was talking last week about how I think I need to set some sort of goal because I was just being a little bit too lax with my goal of just like, I just want to have fun at grandma's. And that was causing me to not be as disciplined. And I was like, I need to set some sort of goal. And that goal wasn't necessarily a number of the time that I want to hit, but just showing up on race day and just running the best I can.
Yeah.
Which is great. However, I also know myself. I'm not coming up with a goal. That's not what I'm about to say. I'm not coming up with a time goal. I'm not throwing a number out there. But I do know myself and how competitive I am that I'm going to be mad at myself if I don't give it everything I can right now leading into grandma's. And then come race day, I'm going to be like, man, I wish I just – I mean, I'm always very disciplined with my running. But like could have done this. And I was just being a little bit kind of like lazy in a sense. And I'm going to be mad at myself come June if I do that. So – I'm not coming up with a time goal, especially now as I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things post Houston. But as it gets closer, I will be talking to Carly about like, all right, where I'm at right now, like what's projected for me to hit in grandma's. And then I'm sure I will have a pacing strategy and a time goal in mind. Whether that's a PR or not, that's not the point. But I also know, and then when I saw your story this morning, I was like, oh, well, if she's going for it, I need to go for it. And it like got me all like fired up. So I was like ready to talk to you about this today because I was super excited.
That wasn't even in the, it didn't even cross my mind, but that's what's like nice about having a coach sometimes is like she does a good job of that too, I think. where it's like when they give insight, kind of like when Carly talked to you about the marathon after your half of like, this is what I see possible for you doing. When you don't, it's hard for us, I think, to judge ourselves as coaches. Like, and it's so funny because we do that all the time for our athletes, and we have that awareness on when you're looking at their workouts, and especially when you've worked with them for a longer period of time, it makes it even easier too, because you have that experience of seeing what they were able to do in the past and what that like led to from a race perspective, or how their development and their training. So, but for me, I guess because for us, like we try to just let our coach do that for us of like, no, I don't want to dissect my training. Just tell me what to do so I can just show up and do it. And you just tell me. Yeah, exactly. So it's fun to like be the athlete in that sense, because it is exciting when you have someone just express like what they see as possible. So
geez,
we
that's
got
what got me going for the marathon. Just that whole curiosity that we talked about of like, wait a second, that's a number I never thought I could do. So now I need to see if I can do it. So absolutely. That's why if you're listening and you have thought about hiring a coach, it's not just, and we've talked about this on like social media posts and stuff before, but it's, and I probably a little bit too, when we talked that one episode about how to find the right running coach, but it's so much more than just write my workouts and my training program for me. It's that,
at least
there's
for
so
us.
many layers
like it's
to
like
it.
that for some places,
Yeah,
but
that's
like
true.
we take
Not
that
how we
next. Yeah, it's just not how we do things.
But like instilling that confidence and being realistic and having those conversations and just all that stuff. So anyways, cool, good stuff. Well, I'm excited. I feel like I've got this like new fire within me about this year.
Me
I wasn't like really sure. I mean, I was kind of bummed about my hamstring, and then I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And here we are. So I'm like all fired up about it now.
It's so nice. Yeah. It's so hard. I've been feeling the same way this year, where I'm like, just like I don't know. I don't know what I want. And then I've been setting like things to focus on that I'm like, okay, this would be cool. Like I am curious about this, or it would be fun to like focus on this right now, but or this feels realistic at the moment, so I guess I'll shoot for this. Like it's been a combination of those things, but even then, like there hasn't been that thing that like really gets like lights a fire under my ass. And like makes me excited to like work hard. And now I feel like even though I had a goal to focus on getting faster with the 5K, and I still want to do that. I still want to continue to sprinkle in 5Ks, just because I feel like I haven't been able to really race one well in a long time. The 5K that has my PR, I was in the middle of marathon training, and I think I may have said this before, so I apologize if I'm a broken record, but when I raced it, like that's when I found out that my ferritin was shit and my legs were really heavy. Like I ran the second, like 2 out of the 3 miles at like my threshold pace. Like it was a rough day. And so I'm like, man, I don't think I have an accurate, like it would be nice to be able to race one well. So yeah, I want to still like make sure that that's a priority, but
you've got top end speed. So I would be really excited to see, like I've said this before too, like you 100% can break 20 minutes. It's just a matter of like,
that would be so cool. Yeah,
it totally would be.
That'd be cool.
Like I don't doubt that at all. So
thanks, man. But yeah, so grandmas, we have a new focus, which is exciting. I'm pumped for the both of us. And it's gonna be a great weekend. So much going on.
Yep.
We have Boston in a few weeks.
I know. Oh my God. We've been like all morning texting our group of all of our Boston plans. So we're going to go spectate Boston. Very excited for that.
Me too. It's going to be awesome being in that environment.
Yeah. And then it's just going to like, if I wasn't already lit about trying to be cute in Houston in January, and I haven't even gone to Boston yet.
That. I feel like I'm going to run the Houston Marathon after, like, I'm not kidding. I'm scared. Scared.
Me too.
But if that, we'll see. It's crossing my mind. We'll see. We'll talk about it
how
I get.
After
I
go
just
to Boston.
know how I get. I need to give myself that buffer after race weekends. I have this like rule for myself where after I am tracking a big race weekend and spectating a big race weekend, I need to give myself a week. So like I don't allow myself to sign up or like decide on any races within that week, because there have been times where I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I think even after I like I was leading up to a marathon this time last year, but there's been times where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for like, I want to go for it and run a marathon. And then like 5 days later, the excitement wears off. And then I'm like, actually, no.
That's
So we'll
why
see.
that's why they do like the New York City Marathon World Major signups immediately after the race because of all the hype.
I am so proud of
That's how they
myself
get
for
you.
not entering my name in that lottery.
I
I think
remember you were
tomorrow's the
going
last
to.
day, but
I think you're right.
and it crossed my mind. I'm like, what if I don't even want to run a marathon in November, but I kind of just want to throw my name in just because. Like I
Just to
have
see what
those
happens.
moments. I'm like, no, Tony, not a
Still
good
a bucket
reason.
list. That's still a bucket
Still a
list
bucket
race
list.
for me.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, fun things coming up. Well, let's
All
get
right.
into our
We
track
should get into
101.
it. All right. All right, I'll get it kicked off. So track 101.
Okay.
So we're going to give you just a couple of tips and tricks, some low-hanging fruit to how to get to a track to do a run. So like Toni said in the beginning, we understand it can be intimidating to go to a track, especially if there's other people there and you're not sure what the rules are, what the proper etiquette is, some tips and tricks. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first things first, when you get to a track, there are some like basics that I'll talk about in a second, but the first thing you should always do is look to see if there is a sign posted with designated days to run in certain directions on the track. The standard is that you always run on the track counterclockwise. That's just the standard of how you do it. However, some tracks do like to mix it up. And so look to see if that track has a sign where it might be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we run clockwise. The other days we do counterclockwise. And then just follow the guidelines of whatever sign you see.
Mm-hmm.
With
I've
that
even
being
seen that like at indoor tracks are not the same as outdoor tracks, but you always see that on indoor tracks too. Like some gyms have them, but yeah, I've seen that before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've definitely seen those on indoor tracks too. I feel like indoor tracks are dangerous.
Oh my God, I don't. There was one at college. They are. I get so nervous. And I do have a couple athletes that like go to a really nice gym that I know that's like in Pittsburgh that have one. But I even say like if it's over, like it's okay if you do like because the one they'll do like they have a day with strides, and so they'll do their easy miles. They've talked about, oh, I'll just do the whole thing on the indoor track. I'm like, you can do the easy miles portion on the treadmill, but then save the strides for the track instead. Don't do it all like on there because it's smaller than a normal track, which we'll talk about that in a sec too.
It is smaller, and I've gone to a couple of gyms with indoor tracks. It's smaller. There are people who do not care about the etiquette and they just walk across. Usually you have to walk on the outside of those. Or actually the gym that I was at for the boys karate, they had a track above and you had to walk on the inside and the runners would run on the outside, which is actually the opposite of what you would do on an outdoor track, which we'll talk about in a minute. But so again, checking the signs to see what's posted. I was just following what the rules were. So anyways, I have seen people kind of like get taken out on indoor tracks. So we're really just talking about outdoor tracks today, though. We are not talking about indoor tracks. Just we should for sure just set that standard right now. So we're talking about outdoor tracks. With that being said, though, in terms of which direction you're going in. So say it's just a standard track. There's no sign posted. Run it counterclockwise. However, you could always do the warm up and the cool down in the opposite directions if you can. So it really kind of depends on who's out there. If there's a lot of people out on the track, I wouldn't do that. For me personally, I usually get my entire incredibly amazing track to myself when I'm out there.
Or there's only like a couple people. Yeah, that's how it is for me too. Like there's usually, even at most, it's like there's a couple, if there's a lot of people, there's like some walkers on the outside, but I'm not in their way. Like if I do which is nice.
Which is nice. Lucky. Yeah. I tend to get nobody out there because in the summertime, I don't go to the track during the winter just because it's a black hole. And I do all my track workouts on like a certain circle stretch out on the road. But in the summertime, there might be one runner, one walker out there, but that's it. And so I could go clockwise for my warm up and cool down just to kind of run in an opposite direction. So keep that in mind. But if there is a lot of people, I would follow whatever the track rules are for that day.
Super helpful. The other thing to just note, and again, this may be obvious for some, but actually, I remember when I followed my first marathon plan and it had a track workout, I had to Google what the distance was because I just had no idea. So
I
that's
wouldn't
why we're
assume
talking about it.
that. Yeah, and I wouldn't assume a lot of people know because, like,
Yeah.
if you've never run track in high school or anything, like,
How do you
why
know?
would you really
Why would
know?
you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But one lap on the track is 400 meters. So some common distances that you'll see for track workouts are like 200s. And you probably have heard us talk about these, especially when we were
Hmm.
talking about like 5K workouts and stuff like that. But 200, so that's going to be a half of a lap. 400 is one full lap. Another common one is 800s, which is 2 laps, and so on and so forth. So just so you know that when it comes to workouts, and you can get like fun and do some off like distances too on the track. But if you're someone that's newer to the track, like start off with like those simple ones, and you can also see you'll be able to see lines of that dictate like where to start and stop based on certain distances, especially the like the 200s and everything. But yeah.
So when we're looking at different etiquette, we kind of just talked about this a second ago with like when walking and running where you should be. So proper etiquette out on the outdoor track, again, unless otherwise noted by a sign, is that if you are running, you should stay on the inside lane. So there's 8 lanes. The innermost lane is that 400 meter. One
Mm-hmm.
full lap on the innermost lane is 400 meters or roughly a quarter mile. That's where the runner should be. And you should stay on the inside lane. If you're walking or maybe just like jogging as a warm up or cool down, move out of the runner's way in those inside lanes and move out to more of the outside lanes. With that being said, stay in your lane,
Mm-hmm.
especially when getting past. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen videos or seen it firsthand with somebody getting hit by a runner who is running really fast and they come down that straightaway pretty fast. And a person just walks across the lanes or they stop and just like turn. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do that. So if when you're getting passed by a runner, say you're walking or say you're running and say another runner is passing you, just stay in your lane. Don't freak out. It's like when you come up on somebody when you're running and you're like, on your left. And there's like, they turn to their left and they shoot to their left. And then it's like, no, just stay in your
Yeah.
lane and don't like jump in front of the person.
Yeah, or even like it's happened to me sometimes where I'm on the track, I'm in the middle of a hard rep. There's like a couple of us out there doing a workout, and there's times where like someone's running faster than me. Well, we're both doing our reps, like whatever the heck that we're doing, but someone's faster than me. That person just passes me on the outside. So even if there's someone else that's out there and like you're in the middle of your workout, they'll pass you. Like you don't have to get out of your way if you both are running hard. Like they'll go around you and keep going. But like Christine said, just stay in your lane. And what I do, like if you're in a position where there's two of you out there and you need to like pass them like on the outside. I've had someone do this before and it really pissed me off. So that's why I said it. Don't pass them on like the inside where it's like you're kind of like on the turf and you're going around on the inside. One, that's kind of dangerous, especially because there's some drainage stuff sometimes. Like if it's a turf field and there's a drainage like right before the track like starts. So for safety reasons, but also I don't know, it just feels kind of rude. Like I'm gonna pass you on the inside. You're like ruining my workout. Like, no, just go on the outside, right around them, and then stay the course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else with etiquette?
Um,
Are we good to move on?
I think honestly, those are just kind of like the basics. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next thing that I think I see a lot of people do, because I have this conversation with athletes when I notice this usually, is with your watch, you want to turn auto lap off and instead manually lap your workout. And even if so for our athletes, like we'll program a track workout, and whether you have a Coros or a Garmin or an Apple, a lot of the platforms will automatically upload your workout to your watch, which is like awesome. Love that. Makes life so much easier as the athlete. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. However, when it comes to a track workout, I like for my athletes to turn the auto lap off. So when I say that too, what that means is like if you were to go out on a 3-mile run, the auto lap, like it'll just automatically lap for you like every mile. So that's what that means. So you want to turn that off. And then usually I remember when I had a Garmin and I did this, and it's the same for my Coros, like usually it's the bottom right button. Is that how it is for you, Christine?
Yeah.
To manually lap it.
Mhm.
So what you basically do is like let's say I have a 400-meter workout. So my warm up is going to be 2 miles easy, with some strides. We'll just say 2 miles easy. So I will do my 2 miles and I won't worry about like manually lapping it after every mile. I just like let it run.
Yeah.
When I get to like, and then when I'm getting ready to do my first 400, like once I get to the line, that's like my starting point, that's where I'll press that bottom right button and the timer starts for my 400. So I go, I take off, not too fast, and then I do my 400. And then when I finish and I hit that 400-meter mark, that's when I press the bottom right button again. And then my cool down starts. So then I start doing my recovery jog. So that's what you can continue to do. And then once your workout is over, just like how you normally would stop your run, you'll press that wherever it is. Usually it's top right button, but press that button and then you can stop and save your run. But it's a lot more accurate when you do that compared to if you just let the workout like run through your watch and it's auto lapping, it just is going to be off. And I think the pacing can be off and all of that. So yeah, that's how you do it. And then the other thing that can be helpful, since again, you don't have your watch prompting you on what to do, I usually write down my workout on my hand in pen, and I do it on the outside of my hand because I've done it on the inside before. And then my hands get, at least in the summertime when I don't need gloves, my hands get sweaty. And so
Yeah.
if it's on the inside, it'll just like wear off eventually, but I'll write it on the outside. So I remember. And then Christine, I know that you have a fun little tip, or I memorize it, but share your tip that I actually really like that you have done to help
Yeah.
keep
So
track of everything.
Yeah, so I usually memorize my workout, but sometimes when I have it, if it's like a really complex one, I haven't written it on my hand. I could slash should do that. I usually write it on like a post-it note and like put it in my like a little pocket or something, so it's like on me. I
Okay.
usually memorize everything though. But what happens when say you've got like 16
Mm.
reps of 200s or something, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a lot to remember and like
So much.
I've tried before. Like last summer, I remember
Yeah.
specifically I did like an extra one. I think I had 12 reps of whatever and I did 13. And I remember looking back at the splits after. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like I did a whole extra one because I just didn't count right in my head. So something that I like to
Yeah.
do, the outside of the track has all these like just like nice stones. And so I'll grab however many stones for however many reps I have. And there's all these football benches and everything everywhere. So I'll put them on a bench and I'll line them out in a straight line. And I also it kind of depends on like the workout. Sometimes it can get a little tricky, but I always do it where I know my recovery is going to be. So if it's a 200 and I know I'm coming from
Yeah. Yeah.
the far turn, I'm not going to have it there. I'm going to have it on the other side where I know my recovery lap is going to be. And so
Got
I'll
it.
just run by it and like I don't even stop. I literally just grab one stone and I drag it to the other side of the bench and then I just keep running. So I'm not even stopping or even really walking to do it.
Well,
It's
it's
super
easy.
easy.
It would be easy to
Yeah,
slide it. Yeah.
super
Yeah.
easy to
I love
slide
that
it as long
idea.
as I just always do it during my recovery side of things. It's easy to again like I know I can be on the inside lap. I don't have anybody to really ever worry about on my track. But yeah, it just kind of helps keep me on track, literally pun intended, to like make sure I'm
Well,
doing the right number of reps. So
that's like the part that's so hard again when you get up there. I think it's like when you're in the double digits of something, but
yeah,
of a workout like 10 and up, I just
your brain goes to mush.
I struggle. And it's hard too because the thing that's tough about manual lapping, not tough, but you again, it's not prompting you to tell you you've done
Mhm.
1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. Like you don't have that like tracker like you do when it's just like a road workout if your workout like uploads or whatever, but
Yep.
it tells you like the lap number. So but you have to remember it's like okay, so lap 1 was technically my warm-up miles. Then lap 2 was my first like rep. Then lap 3 was my recovery jog. And so there's times where I've tried to like, I've forgotten where I was and I'm like
Yeah.
trying to do the math in my head, and math is not my thing.
Especially when you're
So
running,
when you're
because
running, I
forget
wish I
it.
could be that person that could. I know there's some people that do such a good job in the half or full marathon. They're able to calculate like, this is where I'm at this distance, and if I do this pace for these miles leading up, and then I'll get
If
this time.
train
Like
A leaves the station at
I
X
can't
time and
do it.
it's going
My
72
brain goes
miles an
to
hour.
sleep. My brain goes to sleep. Like the moment I start thinking, it's like, no, just
I
stop. Just keep
remember,
going.
I know it is definitely hard. And like, I like math and I love numbers.
I
And
know
yet
that's why
it's
you do that
still,
for our business. You
I
do all the
know.
math things for us.
So when I was going over our strategy call with Carly for the Houston half, she wanted me, we were talking about whether or not I was going to manual lap at each mile marker or have auto lap left on. And so I decided I am just going to leave auto lap on, and I don't want to worry about manually lapping at each of the mile markers, which I've actually used
Sure.
to do all the time. And so I was
Me
like,
too.
I'm
Yeah.
just going to go. I'm not going to
Yeah.
stress about it. So she's like, okay, so what you can do then is as soon as you hear your watch go off, look at the time, and then the flag, it's usually always short. And that is like the flag will probably
Yeah.
be like right in front of you. So count as soon as your watch hits the mile, count how many seconds it takes you to get to the mile marker. If it takes you 10 seconds, then you know that you just ran 10 seconds over whatever your like split was on your watch. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like trying to like do this in the race. And it actually was very helpful. I actually thought it was
Yeah.
incredibly helpful because I was like,
Yeah.
usually I was within 10 seconds. I was like, okay, well, that means I have to pick it up because I know
Mhm.
I'm on pace. Like I only beat my goal by like what 38 seconds. And it's like,
Yeah.
because during that time by doing that, like I wouldn't really call that math, but by like doing that, I was like, okay, I need to run this next one 8 seconds faster to like catch up from that. So it's like, it is hard to do that though
It's
when
kind
your
of
brain,
stressful.
it can be
Yeah.
totally.
But it's really helpful to do that because I'm the same way as you. I used to do it for marathons where I would manually lap it, and that's just so exhausting.
That's a long time to do
I
that.
would do it like every 2 miles, and I would always
Oh,
get
okay.
the pace band that you can get.
Yeah.
So I would
I
get
forgot
that.
about
So I
those.
had the total time, like at each mile marker, it would have the running time of where I need to be at. So I would just manually lap it like every 2 miles or so, and then take a peek at like to see if I was on track in that way. So it is nice, like if you do something like that. But
Yeah.
I remember there would be moments where I'd be like, shit, I forgot to like hit it because
Yeah.
obviously you're in the zone and you're racing sometimes. But yeah, it's just, of course, like there's a lot of ways that you can do it, and you can do, what works best for you. But recently I've just been letting it go too. And it's just a little bit easier for me. It's just, there's only so much admin you can do in the middle of racing and running a half or full marathon.
Yeah.
Half or full marathon as fast as you can.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Totally with
yeah.
you there. All right. What else?
Okay.
What else you got? Are we moving on to the next bullet?
Yeah, moving on to the next one. Next one's you, homegirl.
Okay, so the next one is about where you can start. So this is kind of like, I actually kind of feel like this is almost next level. Like everything else that we've been talking about so far is kind of like the basics, foundation for going to the track. This one is kind of like next level. It's not something you have to do. It's more just kind of like how they do it in the track world. Which is where to start for, or like what the straightaways and the turns are called, and then where you can start for, say, a 200 and a 400 technically. So assuming this is also assuming that your track has lines on it, because like I know there's plenty of tracks that don't actually
especially
have
if
all
it's
of
like an
this.
old school track, and it's just worn out.
So assume you have all the like the proper markings on it and everything. So when you're looking at a track, like say you were sitting up in bleachers at the 50-yard line and you're looking at like a football field, the straightaway closest to you is called the home stretch, and that's where you see a lot of the finishes happening on all the different track meets, right? Then you have the backstretch is the other straightaway on the other side of the field. So like where the visitors sit in the football or whatever, right? Then you have to the left is the far turn. And then the curve on your right side is called the near turn. So you've got the home stretch, the back stretch, the far turn, and the near turn. So not that you really have to know that. That's more just like technicalities. You don't really need to know that. But for the purpose of what I'm going to tell you next, it'll make sense. So say you want to do a 200. Technically, the way that they'll start it is there'll be lines right before the far turn. Like if you're on that back stretch. So again, if you're at the 50-yard line looking over the football field, that stretch, that straightaway on the opposite side of the field, just before you get to that turn on your left, there will be lines to start a 200. That's where you start it. So then you start your 200, you go around the far turn and then up the home stretch. So that straightaway right in front of you. And then you finish basically right before you get to the near turn. That's technically the right way to do the 200 from my understanding. I did not run track and field in high school, by the way, or college.
This is how I know you're right. Which I knew you were right. I knew you were right. But this is how I also know. So the track that I go to is a public track wherever I do my workouts, which is nice. But there's a lot of like the colleges like Pitt and Duquesne, like a lot of them will go there and probably other ones too. But those are the two that I see like their little outfits when they're doing their workouts. So a lot of them will do their track workouts. And then there's like a dirt, it's like a K, like 1K, like, but there's a dirt packed down path like around it. So they'll do a lot of tempo runs on the outside and then they're always on the track. Whenever I go, I just try to like finish on the straightaway if I'm being totally honest. So I don't like walk across and then set myself like stuff up. I'll start on the curve so I can like finish or wherever I need to start so I can like finish on the straightaway. I do that. But whenever they're doing like 200s, for example, I've noticed that's like they start in the appropriate spot. So you nailed it.
So it's funny because there's been plenty of workouts where I'm like, I don't really care. Like I would start, this was before I also kind of like Carly kind of guided me through some of these like specific details. And I'm like, it's fine. Like you're doing a 400, you're doing 400, whether you start at the 50-yard line or you start at the far turn or whatever. You're still doing the distance, like whatever. That's just like the appropriate way that they actually race those distances. So for me personally, I was walking across to go to the far turn, but that's because if I did it from, so where you may have done it, which would have been like on the home stretch, like you start kind of like on the right turn and you go maybe that way. Right?
Yep. That's what I did.
So that's right where the entrance. Okay. So like that's for my track. That's right where the entrance is. Like that's technically where the entrance is that I would come in to get into the track. So it would make sense for me to start there. Right.
And mine is on the side where I start. Like I start on, So my entrance is on the side that I start, which is why I start there. Yeah.
Okay. So it would make sense for me to start there. However, if I did the 200 going around the near turn and finishing on the back stretch, that back stretch is always into the wind. Just the way that track is placed, there's always a breeze there. So I'm like, well, forget that. I want it on my back. So I actually go over to the far turn and I do it appropriately, but I didn't do it for the right reasons. I totally did it so the wind wouldn't be on my face. Right.
Oh, that's so funny.
So yeah,
oh my gosh,
it works. But anyways,
so good.
It's just kind of, I remember though, there's been so many times when I would go to the track and I would start my 400 at like the 50-yard line. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm doing the 400. Like, what does it matter?
I'm technically doing it. I remember like, this is a very long time ago, but when I was training for Chicago the second time, because the first time I was training for Chicago I was in Traverse City, but I did my track workouts. We were staying with my in-laws at the time. It was during the summer, so I was actually traveling to visit Will during baseball season. But anyways, I did my workouts at a high school track that was like close to us at the time, and they had like blue and gold like triangle like tick marks. And so at that point I was trying to like qualify for Boston. So I would go and I would like set myself up by like these tick marks because it was just like the blue and gold like reminder for my workouts. But yeah, that was like the reason why I started where I did. But
see, we have our reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So the last thing that we're going to get into is shoes. Again, this isn't a necessity. It's just something that you can like think about if it's something that you want to explore. And I'm going to give this credit to Britt because we actually have a social media post that we're going to be sharing in the next few weeks that talk a little bit about what we're talking about today. But something that she shared on her social media page was just the benefits of having like a light, fast shoe for your speed days. So if you're someone that wants to have a shoe rotation, are able to afford to have a shoe rotation, yeah, having something that is like lighter on your foot can be helpful. So how you would do this if you have like a speed day shoe, a couple options. Like if it's a shoe that is durable and can withstand like the entirety of your workout, by all means do that. I know that I have one that I'll use from start to finish. For some people, they like to change out of their shoes. So if you did want to change into your speed shoes for your workout, what I would recommend is wear your regular daily trainer for the warm up and the cool down portion of your runs. And then after you do your warm up, for example, you can either like save your run by itself or just like pause your watch. It's fine.
Mhm.
Pause your watch. It's okay. Change into your speed shoes, and then you can do the speed portion of your workout. And then again, like you can change back into your shoes for your cool down if you want to. But again, like I know that I can only speak to like the ounces for women. I can't think of the men's ounces off the top of my head, but for perspective, like sometimes a daily trainer will be anywhere between like they can be 8 to 10 ish ounces. And then when you're looking at a race shoe, you for women, again, this is for women. If I remember correctly, usually it's around like 6 ounces, sometimes 7, but like 7 ounces or less, I'll say, are where that's where you'll see a lot of race shoes, a lot of speed, like shoes and everything as well. And you do really notice the difference. I was actually thinking about that for myself lately, where I have the Endorphin Speed 3 for my tempo runs, like stuff that's like longer or outside. I really like it for that. But if I'm going to do like really, really, really fast stuff on the track, I might want to look into something like a little bit lighter because I think that it still falls between that like 8 ounces, like 7 to 8 ounces for a shoe. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, just things to keep in mind. And it's not, again, something that you have to do. But the only other thing that I do want to veer caution to, and I know that some people may get triggered by this, but be cautious about wearing carbon plated shoes for your speed workouts. So, a couple reasons. One, a simple reason is you want to save the specialness of the shoe for race day. Speaking from experience, where in my marathon build last year, I was incorporating them during just the speed portion of some of my track workouts that I would do. And I just noticed that, like, on race day, I was like, oh, like the pop, like it wasn't as special. Like I was familiar with how it felt. Where when I was training for my half marathon before, I just used my speed shoe for my last like workout or two and then saved it for race day. So there's that element. And then the other thing too, and again, it's so different for everyone. So I know some people who really benefit like from wearing a carbon plated shoe for their workouts, but another thing too is it can be really hard on your body. So I noticed for myself, like I would just start to get like little, like things would just feel achier after those like speed days or days that I was wearing a carbon plated shoe for a workout. And I know that there are some out there, like I think of the New Balance Supercom trainer that are like intended to, they're like carbon fiber plated, but like intended for training. So I can't attest to like how my body feels with those, but yeah, just to be cautious of it. Notice if you do want to try it, notice how your body is like feeling. You're going to feel great during the workout, but more importantly, notice how it's feeling afterwards. And something to always remember is that it's not about the like don't wear them just to hit certain splits during training. The shoe isn't the reason why you're going to be able to run well on race day. It's going to be because of the work that you put in during training. So don't feel like you have to resort to a shoe like that during training to train and prep for it. But that's
Yeah.
my little like, I don't know what you call it. TED Talk? Is that what those are?
Sure. Um, that always happened to me when I would wear carbon plated shoes. Something would always ache on me after.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I've said this
Same.
before, but I swear that's why I pulled my hamstring during my half was partially due to those. the Nikes that I wore that I just wasn't really used to. But I
Yeah.
had noticed the previous Nikes that I had that were carbon plated did something like I would always get like these little aches after like a 5K that I did in carbon plated shoes or
Yeah.
like something would always like, and you would always go away like really quickly within a couple days, but
Yeah.
it was always
Yeah.
something. But
That's how it was for me too.
yeah, be cautious with them. But I would do the same. So in terms of like bringing shoes, so I usually do my track workouts like first thing in the morning, like early. And so I don't live far from the school. So I will do my warm up by running to the school. I'll get to the track, I'll do my workout, and then my cool down is me running back home. It's just like, it's truly a perfect setup that I have here. And
Yeah, that's
so
so
that
nice.
means that unless I'm running carrying shoes, what I usually do, I know, which I probably would do that. That's not totally crazy. But basically what that means for me, what I've always done is I'm wearing my speed day shoe, not carbon plated, but just like my speed day shoe for my warm up and my cool down. And it's always been fine. It hasn't been bad. If there's been times when I go like at like later in the morning and like if my mom's here watching the baby, I will, and I drive there. That's the days that I'll wear my daily trainers for my warm up and I'll change into my speed shoe for the actual workout. So kind of like whatever your situation lands
Honestly,
you, I guess.
and so many of the speed shoes, like they're fine to be worn for the entirety of the workout. The only time I really change, the only time I would change out like out into a faster shoe would be when I wear my carbon plated shoes, just because I would have, especially training for a marathon where it's
I
like
agree.
your workouts can get up and they're like can get up to the double digits. You know what I mean?
You only
As
have so
training,
many
like,
miles.
progresses.
Yeah, and you only have so many miles on those
so many
shoes.
miles. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that's where I would do that. But all like the other shoes that are out there, Brooks, Asics, what do I use? Saucony, like
Saucony,
all
yeah.
of them, like they're intended to be worn and get like substantial miles out of them. So obviously, like with any lighter shoe, it's not going to last quite as long as a daily trainer. So again, like be mindful of that as well. But yeah, I would always just have, it's like, this is my speed day shoe. And I usually wear it unless I'm changing out
Speaking
carbon plated shoes.
Speaking of, I
Did
need
you
a
buy them?
I have not bought them yet.
Mm.
I need to buy new speed day shoes. The last couple weeks that I've been doing speed shoes, I've been just doing them in my Brooks Ghost. I'm just
God.
sludging along with my daily trainers for my speed workout. Just get like ankle weights on, get you stronger.
Well, girl, yeah, right. No wonder. So this is, who knows? Maybe wearing your Brooks Ghost, like you're just
I know. Well, I
you're
still
gonna
have
feel
the Brooks Hyperion.
was that Hyperion Max?
Yeah, but just towards the end of Houston training, because those were my speed day shoes for that whole cycle, I kept getting blisters with them, and it was like weird. And I was like, okay, well, they must be, and it was just those ones. And I was doing like
I
long
remember
runs
that
and
actually.
it was so bizarre.
Yeah, it was
And
a long run. I remember. Yeah,
that was
saying
bad.
that.
So anyways, I sort of like don't want to wear them now. Like I don't even want to like wear them at all. So I'm like, well, the only
That
other
makes
option I have is
sense.
my carbon plated shoes, which I am not touching those right now, or my Brooks Ghost. So Brooks Ghost it is for now.
Brooks Ghost it is.
I think I am gonna get the Saucony. What are they? Elite.
The endorphin speeds.
Oh, endorphins.
They're
right,
the training one. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think I'm gonna get those. It's just I just haven't purchased them yet.
I have the elites for my race day shoe that I don't have a lot of miles on, but there's like new colorways and I'm like, I want a new race day shoe. I have a pair sitting after this is my conversation with myself. Toni, you have a pair in your closet that have 20 miles on them. You're fine. You're going to get like a year out of them. Hold your horses, put the cart away.
Yeah.
You don't need a new colorway.
I love those conversations.
I know. I have to keep telling
That's
myself.
Funny.
But
well,
shoes are fun. Maybe that could be another episode.
Yeah. We could always
have James lead that one.
I was going to say we should get James on because he's the shoe guru.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. People in so we have a Slack message or a Slack channel for our athletes. And the one monthly team call that we did was about shoes, and James is like a true shoe guru. He's one of our coaches, and he used to be a shoe rep for Saucony before he does what he does now, which is he works in marketing for P3R, which is one of the main sponsors or the main sponsor for the Pittsburgh Marathon or Pittsburgh Marathon and like other races in Pittsburgh. But he's awesome. So that man knows so much about shoes, and it was so fun to listen to that conversation. that was months ago, right, Christine? There
Mhm.
are people weekly, because usually we'll like post our recording, because we always record our monthly team calls and then we post it in one of the channels. And then we always say, like, if you have questions, follow up things, like, please, ask in here. People are still asking
Yeah.
questions about shoes, like, hey, James, so this is my situation. This is what I need. This is what I wear. Like, what would you recommend? And
Yeah.
we need to like pay this man to
I
answer
know.
these questions at this point. But he loves it. Like he even like he asked us if he could have the team call to like talk about that. So
Yeah.
I think
He
it
had a
would be really fun to
presentation.
listen.
Yeah,
He
he
had
had
a
like a
whole
presentation and everything.
presentation.
It was
It was
such an
awesome.
insightful call about shoes
It was.
from like a
Yeah.
true expert. Like he knew everything about
Mm-hmm.
not just Saucony, but with him having like a history of
Yeah.
that, but like other brands too. So yeah, that would be a cool episode. We should get him on. So
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely
awesome.
will have to, after he gets back from Japan,
Oh
we'll
yeah. Little
ask
world
him.
traveler.
I know. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure. We can't wait to see you guys next week. But again, thank you so much to all of you who always listen to us and support us. And just know that we appreciate everything that you have said about like us starting this. It's been so fun so far. So
Yeah.
we just love you guys. But have a good rest of your week, and we will see you next time.